Hello, hello, hello. I am Kushagar Gaur and I welcome you all to Saturday Night Live. Who's here today? Let's wait for people to join. Sorry for starting a bit late. Okay, let's see who's joining. Kiran is here. Am I spelling it right? Is it Kiran? Is it Kiran? But anyways, welcome to the live stream. I think I'm seeing you for the first time here. Thanks for joining in. Just background for me listening along. Second pronunciation, Kiran. Kiran, cool. What about the background? I guess you're able to hear me. Just background for me listening along. Oh, you're just listening along. Okay, cool. That's great. Ishu Gupta is here. Jason is here. Welcome, welcome, folks. Welcome to CSSBattle Saturday Night Live, and thanks for joining in to the live stream. I am tabbed out listening. Huh? Cool. That works. Okay. I guess few players are here already. We can begin since we are anyways a little late. Uh, this is CSSBattle Saturday Night Live, and this is in fact 2025's last Saturday Night Live. Um, yeah, we'll meet in 2026 after this, and we have been doing this. We started this in fact in 2025 with the aim of doing um, this every Saturday together with everyone and trying to figure out the top solutions that these amazing players have on daily targets, which are public. They open up the solutions, the top solutions specifically, they open up the next day. And so it's a very good opportunity to learn code golfing from the players, top players themselves. So that's why I started this. I wanted to learn code golfing from the players, and what better than figuring out the solutions they have. So that's the aim I started the live stream with, and it's been a great journey. I have learned a ton from these streams, and I hope players who have been tuning in would have had the same experience. I hope. Uh, so yeah, we also started doing versus battles on the streams, and that has been hell of a fun. Uh, Doing one-on-one duels with you all players. So that's been great. And today we are on the 24th, I guess. This is the 24th live stream for 2025. We did 24 live streams. That's a good number for me personally. Being shy of the camera, I think I did it quite a few times. Cool. So, before we begin, few updates. We launched a new thing yesterday, I guess. It's called the ISO Wish board. It's a feedback board where you all players can put in any suggestion for a feature or any bug that you would like to get fixed, and not just submitting. You can have a look at all the existing submissions that players have made regarding features, and if you connect with one of those or few of those, you can upvote them. So a simple roadmap, community driven roadmap, that's what this is. We all put in our suggestions together, we upvote, and then what matters the most to the community would get picked up. Hopefully would get picked up if it makes sense for the game. So yeah, this went live. There are already four suggestions, one of which is mine, which is uh, which is actually I was just a proxy. It's the demand of a few players. They want clip path back, but yeah, I added it because I figured out this would get eventually added. So Yeah, but we have four ISO wish suggestions already on the board, and yeah, feel free to put in your suggestions. Feel free to upvote the ones you would like to get added to the game. By the way, SVG Battle, I think that should launch early next year. Yep, if you have been waiting for that, uh, 2026 it is, folks. Cool. Um, yeah, I guess that's the update. There's one more thing. Today itself, we launched one more course. So there were a few players, few users who said they don't want to do the whole CSS course, and maybe the course was a little costly for them if they took the whole CSS course as a bundle of basic, beginner, and intermediate, and they would want to do a specific module, for example, just Flexbox or just positioning, how it works in CSS. They would like to do just that. They want to learn just that. So with that in mind, we launched a new thing today in the Learn CSS. That's topic specific courses. And the first one that we have, which launched today, is the Flexbox course. So if you want to learn just Flexbox, you can do so with a lot less cost and with very specific learning in mind. You can just like pick the specific module for learning Flexbox, and yeah, they're gonna be more modules here, more courses here for specific things, like I said, for positioning, or maybe for I don't know, maybe for grid soon. So you'll have the specific modules as well. So if people who want to just learn these uh, can go for these. Yep, that's it for the updates. With that out of the way, let's see which target should we reverse engineer today for the stream. Any suggestions, anyone? We can choose that one, or if not, let's see. December 19th looks good. I think 20th, December 21 was where everyone got the same solution. I'm not sure. 108, 108, 110. No, it's different. This little bit ASCII based. No, not ASCII based, but it's font based. So it might not render exactly the same on the browser. Oh, it does. No, it's a little bit different. I'll want to skip this, since it depends on the font which is on the server where the submission is evaluated. December 20, you're biased. Oh, were you top kill there? I missed that. Yeah, yours is the top. We can do that one then. Since it's a suggestion coming from Kiran, let's do this one. Cool. So, folks, December 20th it is. This is the one we are gonna reverse engineer, and it is Kiran's solution. That's the top solution with 108 characters, and it's in tie with the second best, which is not the second best, it's the same number of characters. So Mohammad Ali and Kiran both have 108 characters on their solution, and the next best is 110, which is 2 characters more. Cool. Let's do a quick unminification here. By the way, these things that you see on the right, these are a few of our plugins I have. These are like plugins you can build yourself to do certain things in the code, with the code. So I have a plugin called Unminify, which does a few text processing, text manipulation to make the code more readable. And these plugins are available for Plus players. So if you have the Plus subscription, check this out. It's a good thing if you play regularly to do certain things, do certain grunt work which you don't have to type again and again. Okay. So this is it, and then a final. Cool. So in all, just 3 declarations here to build this, and just a second, let me. Okay, cool. Let's comment this out, and in fact, before we go into the solution itself, the thing that we like to do is try to figure out how would we build this target if we were to do it in the most straightforward manner without code golfing in mind, just using normal elements, usual CSS, and trying to build this thing. So the way I would go about this is, of course, we have a circle in here. Let's see if my screen annotation is showing. Just let me know if screen annotation is showing for you all. I think it should. I'm just checking. Yeah, it should be showing. Cool. So I was saying, like, this is a circle which can have a white background, and it can have a orange border from where we get this. Cool. And then the rectangles, they could be 2 usual rectangles, 2 normal boxes positioned right in the center of the whole frame. So they could be positioned either through either absolutely, in the most straightforward manner, they could be positioned absolutely. They could be positioned using grid or flexbox, anything that you like, because they are right in the center, so it's easy to use the layout systems as well. The circle being absolutely positioned in, because it has to overlap the rectangles. So that's one way. The other could be, you have the circle, again, using a usual div with a border radius and a border. And then this thing could be one rectangle right in the center with a linear gradient on it. So the gradient starts from the dark blue, goes horizontally. So dark blue, white, and dark blue. Or in fact, it can be just like the dark blue, transparent, and dark blue, because the white would come from the background, from the background circle itself. So it could be a linear gradient. That could be another solution. Or a little bit on the code golfing side, like if you just have the HTML and the body, the HTML could just create this circle thing using radial gradient maybe, and then the body could be just this, where it has certain dimension, but it has these inline borders, one on the left, one on the right, white in between or transparent in between, doesn't matter, and just the 2 borders would get us this, right? A little bit of on the code golfing side. That's what those are the 3 solutions I can think of right now. Cool. Let's go into Kiran's solution and see what's happening here. So if you see, the only visual declaration here is just the background, which is supposed to be a radial gradient, and that's it. And that's on the universal selector. We'll come to that. But the other 2 declarations, those are just non-presentational. One scales down. I mean, that's visual. It creates a visual reference, but doesn't create something visually. It's just it just scales something down, and then the font is there, which would again size up or down the font, the line height as well. Cool. So the only thing we need to figure out mostly would be this radial gradient. Let's dive into this. Okay, so it's a linear gradient. I guess this is the first color stop, or rather, I guess the radius of the circle. So let's see, what colors are these? I'm still not very sure about radial gradient syntax specifically that's being used over the code golfing solution. I mean, I have a little idea, but I'm not still I'm not exactly clear what things are what. So we'll try to figure that out. So this is which color? This is white, right? So let's name them rename them to simpler colors so that we are clear which is which color. This is supposed to be orange, so we'll make it orange, and this is blue. Cool. So this is now a little more clear. The white color stop is at 9.5 EX, and remember EX is the height of the X character, the small X character in whatever the current font is with whatever the current font size is on this element. So completely font based unit being used here, and that means when we manipulate the font, it's gonna affect the color stop for the white color. Cool. So that's the white color stop. Then comes the orange color stop, which goes till 25 VW. Oops, my mouse stopped. I hope it starts working again. Nope. I think I'll have to change the batteries on the live stream for my mouse. It's gone out of battery, I think. Please start working. Oh, it's working again. Cool. So orange color stop goes from 0 to 25 VW. I think that's what it means. Since it's like the starting is 0, it would be behind the white color stop, and that won't mean anything. Like it doesn't matter if it's 0 or even if you change. I'm sorry. If you even change it to 1 px, it won't make any difference because it's still behind the white color, so it doesn't make like a difference where it starts. 0 is the smallest number, saves you characters there as the starting point for the orange color. But this is what matters. Where does the orange stop, right? It stops at 25 VW, which would be this part, right? This would be 25 VW, and that's a viewport width related unit, and that means it's going to be fixed. It won't change with the font that we'll be changing later in the next declarations. And then of course there's blue. That's the last color stop that just like goes that starts from the orange color stop and then just goes beyond like throughout the canvas, right? So that fills up the whole thing, going beyond the orange color. Cool. So the color stops, I guess, are clear. What is this thing? The first two thing. One thing we could do is, would the DevTools tell us what these things are? My mouse again went off. I think I should change the batteries. Just a minute, folks. We need to change the batteries on the live stream itself. For the record, this mouse takes 2 AAA batteries and it's a vertical ergonomic mouse, which is good for the hands. I'm gonna quickly grab some batteries. Okay. That's the first one. Cool. We are back in action, folks. Great. Is the scribble still showing? Okay, cool. So yeah, I was saying we could inspect the radial gradient here and see if we can get the what do you call the paths of the radial gradient from it. this is it. Iframe, the document, the HTML. Yeah, that's where the radial gradient is. And yeah, I can get some idea here. No, not actually. The background image is the whole radial gradient thing, but it doesn't tell you what the paths of the gradient are, all these color stops and all. You don't get that division here. Cool. Let's try to figure this out on our own by hit and trial. But if anyone here, oh, he didn't actually commented. It's X and Y radius. Okay, interesting. And those are meant to be different? I thought it was a circle. So this is 1 LH. If this is the left, the X and the Y radius, so that would mean 1 LH is the X radius. Remember, LH is the line height, again, dependent on the font. So this would change when we change the font size, the font property here. So X radius is supposed to be 1 LH. Jason says it's actually 18 pixel, 18 pixel. Okay, that's the more simpler version, I guess. Kiran says so 1 LH 6% is X and Y radius size. Unfortunately, on this case, 1 LH is equal to 6%, which is like 18 pixels, which we need here. But then, okay, we'll see like why these two are different. We'll try to figure that out. But like Kiran said, 1 LH. So essentially, what we need here is a complete circle, and that's supposed to be this thing, 18 pixel, right? So if you see, this is what we need exactly, 18 pixel, a circle of radius 18 pixel, which is this thing, right? This is supposed to be 18 pixel. Am I right? This is supposed to be the radius of the first gradient, or what exactly, which circle's radius are we talking about here? So this background is getting applied on the universal selector. We forgot to mention that. Star is the selector here for this rule, and that means it gets applied on HTML and body both. The HTML1 would propagate up to the root canvas. Since the gradient is exactly same on both the elements, it's centered. The HTML1 or the root canvas one, that would get overshadowed by the body gradient, and so what we see essentially is the one coming from the body. So it doesn't matter what there is on the HTML, but what we see is the body's radial gradient. Okay, let's try to tweak and see what happens. So this is 18 pixels right now. If we make it 1 and 1, doesn't change anything. Then what's the radius for? Okay, we do need the pixel. 2, 3, 4. So what is this doing? 5 pixel. If this was the radius, the X radius, I would imagine the X radius should be more than actually 5 times the Y radius. I do see it happening, as in the X radius, which is this part, is more than this part. Let's change the color to something which is more visible. Yeah. So this is the X radius, and it's more than the Y radius. That's for sure. That is there. But then, if you noticed, when I changed the X radius, the Y radius reduces. So right now, if you see, this is what I would call the Y radius, right? This is what I would call the Y radius. And with 1 pixel, it shows this way. but when I change it to 2 pixels, if I change the X radius to 2, the Y becomes shorter. Why does that happen? So I'm guessing like these are not absolute numbers, as in these are not absolute radius or radii. They're more of proportional thing, I guess. Okay, so Kiran has mentioned in the comments the syntax for the radial gradient value, and I think what affects us, I mean the syntax that we are using or Kiran is using for this solution is the radial size. Is that correct? These two numbers form the radial size and they're supposed to be proportional. So right now the X is double the size of Y. If I make this 3, X radius is triple the size of Y. So ratio is maintained. What if I make it 6 and 2? Let's see. 6 and 2. Yeah, it's the same thing. So even if you keep it, whether you keep it 3 or 1, 3 and 1 or 6 and 2, since the ratio is same, which is 3:1, it shows the same, right? So definitely not absolute values. They are more of a proportional thing which form the radial size of this gradient. What I am a little confused about is how do the color stops play along with this radial size? So this is the okay. So what we are defining is a radial color stop. So when we say 9.5 EX, we are sort of giving it a base value, I guess. So 9.5 EX is would be counted as 1, and if you have something in 3:1 ratio, if the radial size is 3:1, oh, I guess my video is paused, is it? Yeah. Why is it paused? I'm just checking my video. Give me a second. Is it back? Yes, it's back. Cool. Okay. Radial gradient is a wild thing and quite hard to explain. Okay. Seems so. Okay, so I was saying my assumption is 9.5 EX. When you say white goes up till 9.5 EX, it's sort of a base number. But then you can also tweak the whole, what do you say, the sizing of or the shape of the radial gradient with these two radii. If you have 18 pixel and you specify a 50% color stop, you will have 9 pixel. 100% will be 18 pixel. Okay. Gotcha. So you can essentially contain the radial gradient. Is that what it means? If so, Jason says like if you have the radial size as 18 pixel, that would be the size of the radial gradient. And if you have a color stop which you specify as 50%, it's gonna go till 50% of 18 pixel, which is 9 pixel. So I get that. You can size the radial gradient, and then percentages would be proportional to that size, but we don't have percentages here. And also the size do not look like sizes. They look more of proportional ratios, right? That's what we saw. 3 and 1 behave the same as 6 and 2. Is it because there is no percentage here? We can try that. Let's say we make white till 2%. Let's give it more, 10%, 20%. Okay, so this doesn't work because the whole radial gradient is very small. As in, if we consider these absolute values, 3x radii and 1 y radius would be too small, right? So let's make it 10 and 30. Okay, now it makes sense. Let's give it a more realistic number, 50 and maybe 50 again. So assuming our radial gradient size is 50 by 50 or 50 50 x and y, that gives us a circle of 50 radius, which is like a 100 by 100 pixel circle. And if we say wide goes up till 20%, that would mean like wide goes till 20% of 50, right? And to have a simpler number, if we say till 50% of the whole radial size, that would mean till 25 pixels. But it doesn't behave that way. Okay, yeah. I think let's say, can we use the measure tool here? Yes, that's what we get. So this white circle is 100 into 100, like the whole width and height is 100 into 100, which means it's a circle of 50 pixel radius. And since we have a 50 pixel radius circle and white goes till 100%, that means the white is filling the whole radial gradient, right? So again, we have, sorry, oops. So we have 50 pixel into 50 pixel, sorry, we have a radial gradient of size 50 pixel radius with a radius of 15 pixel, right? X and Y are same, so it's essentially a circle of 50 pixel radius. That gives us this circle, right? This is 100, now this is 100. This is almost 100, this is around 100. And we say that white color stop is till 100%, and that means the white is going to start here, go up till 100%. That means it fills the whole radial size, and then the orange is just like beyond the sizing, right? The sizing is just so what I get out of it is the sizing is used to give a size to the radial gradient, and that is used for the percentages in the color stops if there is one, right? If you do have a color stop in percentages, it would obey, or it would be proportional relative to the radial size. But if you have the color stops in absolute units, for example 25 VW, it doesn't matter what the radial size is, it will just go to 25 VW till 25 VW, right? That's what I get out of it. That's what's happening here. Our radial size is a 50 pixel radius, and if I say white goes till 50%, this is what happens, right? Now the radial size is still this circle, which is a 50 pixel radius circle, and the white is just filling till 50%, right? The color stop is at 50% of the whole radial size. So this is what we'll get, right? Cool. I think that's starting to make a little sense. That matches how I understand it. Okay, cool. Maybe we are on the right track. If we undo this and go back to what we had, which is 9.5 EX. So now this means 9.5 EX doesn't care about this thing, the radial size, because it's not in percentage. So That's why it doesn't matter what we have here. Um, the numbers, the absolute numbers don't matter for the color stops because the color stops are in absolute numbers, specifically not in percentages. So they will go where they wanna go. The color stops would end till where they wanna end, but the whole shape would be defined by this ratio. If it's not a circle, if it's a circle, the whole radial gradient looks like a circle. But if you change it to some other ratio, the radial shape becomes different. Not the color stops though. The color stops still would be like 9.5x and so on, but the shape becomes different because of the ratio that we have here. Let's try one more thing. Like if I make the white color stop at 20 pixel, let's make it again. Um, so right now, if you see, there is no color stop which is in percentages. So the absolute numbers here don't matter. That is something we can see here. Um, Even though the radial size is 3 pixel, 3 pixel, it should be a very small circle of 3 pixel radius, but we don't see that here. So that's because we don't have color stops in percentages right now. The white color stop is at 20 pixel. It's gonna be at 20 pixel no matter what you keep the radial size as. So even if I change it to 30, you can see it doesn't matter, right? Even if I change it to 130 or 1000, doesn't matter because the color stops are absolute numbers. But if I make it, if I change the ratio, let's see what happens to the radius of the white circle. Right now it's 20 pixel X radius, 20 pixel Y radius. But what happens if we make the radial size double in X direction? Let's see, let's make it 60. You see what happens? The X radius or the X color stop for white is still 20 pixel, but because of the change in the ratio of the radial sizes, the X and Y sizes, the Y color stop or the color stop in the Y direction for white color becomes proportional to the radial size. So this 20 pixel stays 20 pixel in the X direction, but notice what happens to the Y direction radius of the white color stop. If I make X double the Y, you get the same ratio in the Y color stop as well. Now Y in the X direction is still 20 pixel, but the X radius has to be the double the Y one, and so the Y reduces. So what I'm trying to imply here is probably the color stops that you define here, they are picked for the X direction. The horizontal radiuses, the horizontal values are taken from your color stops, but the Y1 is calculated in proportion to what you define the radial size as. So if you specify the radial size as 1:1, both the color stops would be the same value which you give. But if there is a different proportion for the radial sizes, the color stop that you define gets picked for the horizontal direction, the X radius or the X direction, but the Y1 is calculated in the same ratio of the radial sizes that you give. That's what I figure out from this. In this case, 20 pixel maps to the largest axis. 20 pixel gets scaled to the ratio between the axes, right? Not sure what the largest axis would mean. Are you trying to say the color stop that we give here that gets used for the larger axis? It's not always the X axis, as I understand. But yeah, at least here, this is what I think is happening. So 20 pixel would like get what do you call it, would be used in the ratio of the radial sizes for the y direction, right? So if we get back to what we had, this was 1 LH 6%, 1 LH and 6%. By the way, like I thought the radial gradient was a straightforward thing, but it's not. For the specific solution, I thought like it would be a little easier to understand, but it has a lot of gotchas. Make the axis 30 pixel, 60 pixel, and then it will be 20 pixel tall. Oh, really? Okay. We can try that quickly. I'll just copy this. So this is what Jason is trying to suggesting us to test out. So if we have this 30 pixel and 30 pixel, sorry, if you have a perfect circle and let's keep it 9.5x. So this is fine. It goes to 9.5 ex in both directions. If you make x radius double the y, 9.5 ex gets used for the x-axis. The y is recalculated from this ratio, which means like half the x radius, and so y reduces to half the number 9.5 ex, right? Whatever half of that is. But so Jason suggests if we make the major axis taller, so let's keep it 60. I think this is in line to what I said. It's not about the major axis, at least with this change. It's again the ratio. The ratio says the y radius should be double the x radius, and the x radius always has to come from the color star. That's what I was trying to say. So this 9.5x always applies to the horizontal one, right? So this stays 9.5ex, this stays always 9.5ex, but then the y has to be double, so this becomes double 9.5ex, right? Cool. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's continue with the exact values that we have here. We have certain radiuses here, and for this example, like Kiran said, this turns out to be 18 pixels, both the radius. So this gives us a circle, and yeah, I think that's it for the gradient part. We'll come back to this exact number, like why do we have 1 LH and 6% here? Why don't we have both as 1 LH or both as 6%? We'll come back to that. But essentially, like visually, this is what we get out of the radial gradient. Then there is another nested rule set which applies to another universal selector, and this means anything inside anything, which is body for us. So just for the body, we're gonna scale it down. That's weird. So this is essentially reducing scale. We are making both the x and y scales reduced to 0.2 multiplier, and that's gonna shorten it. Oh, that's gonna shorten just the body. Oh, interesting. The HTML is starting to show up now. So this is what we had without the scale, which is essentially 1. And notice what happens if you keep shortening. If you keep reducing the scale of just the body. Remember, this is just the body, right? So when we keep reducing the scale of the body keeps shrinking, and the HTML behind the body starts to show, which is just the same as the body. It looks same as the body. So we have two versions, two copies of the same visual, which is this white thing, the orange thing, and the blue thing. We have two copies of it. The top copy is being scaled down, so the back copy shows as it was, and the top one, which is the body one, it starts to scale down, right? So this is what's happening. You can see it's getting scaled down. So if I'm correct, this is what the body is right now. It's a shorter version of what the HTML was and what the body, what the HTML is and what the body was essentially originally, right? So the body is getting shrunk down. So we keep reducing it, and this is what it would look at around 0.2 scale, right? That's a small body out there. This is a small body, right? A 0.2 scale body. This is like crazy thing happening here. I can see where it goes, where it's going. Okay, so but we don't have 0.2 in both the direction. We need somewhat skewed ratio here. It's exactly 0.26 for the X, and for the Y it's a little much more smaller. So we get this thing out of the scale, just a scale, right? And then the final thing, the final declaration that we have to unlock is the font, which changes the font size. It changes the line height, and this is just a dummy font, like the smallest character font that you can put in. Doesn't matter what it is, but font size and the line height is what we are changing. The font size would give us a font size, and hence it would affect 9.5 EX, right? Directly, EX would get directly affected because that's the height of the X character. And in turn, the 1Q line height would get derived from the, no, it won't get derived from the font size, because this is not a, what do you call it, relative number. Had the line height been something like 2, it would have been double the font size. 3 line height would have been triple the font size, but this is not a relative number, it's an absolute line height, which is 1Q. So it's gonna be 1Q. The line height is gonna be 1Q, doesn't matter what the font size is. And so this 1Q would be affecting 1 LH, right? The LH unit corresponds to one part of line height, which is like 1 LH is 1 line height. So 1Q gets, it affects 1 LH here. The 7 mm font size affects the 9.5 EX number here, the eventual computed value of this 9.5 EX value, right? So now if we turn this on, okay, this is interesting, what just happened. So let's change these numbers to the default ones, which would be there without the 1Q applies to 1 LH, right? Yeah. Okay, so the font size by default would be somewhere like 1 REM, and this would be 1, I guess. Yeah, so this is what the font size and LH, the line height would be without us changing anything. The font size would be 1 REM, 1 EM, whatever. It's gonna be the default one, which is 16 pixels. And the line height is 1 by default, which is the same as the font size. So let's see what happens if we scale down or scale up. Oh, we have a new player. Joe is here. Hey Joe, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining. Yep, that's what it is. Line height is LH and EX is X height of the X character, right? Cool. So we're trying to figure out like what would the font size and line height manipulation do to our current visual here. We have the body, and if we change, let's try to increase the font size a bit. Let's make it 116 pixels to be more in control. So this is 16 pixels. If we increase the font size, that's gonna increase our white color stop. So we'll get more white if we increase the font size. Let's see, 17, 18, 19, yeah, you can see that's happening. So this is at 10, you can see lesser white. If we make it 20, you can see more white, right? But there's one more thing. Right now, you can see like multiple things are happening. So at 10, it's not just the color stop for the white color, which is small, but also the orange color stop is sort of manipulated with just the font size. Even though orange color stop is 25 VW, it got a little different, right? So just notice again, this is 10 pixel font size should affect the white color stop, just the white color stop, but it doesn't, right? See, this is 10 and this is 20. Sorry, this is 20. Even the orange is getting manipulated. And the reason is, in the default case, the line height is 1, which is same as the font size. Okay? It's a relative number right now. The line height is relative to the font size. So even though we have been changing just the font size, the line height changes proportionally. It changes proportionally. And so even this thing is getting changed. The whole radial size is also getting manipulated. In this case, what we're trying to experiment here, with just changing the font size, the whole shape of the radial gradient is getting changed. And so that's why, like, not just the color stop for the white color is changing, the orange also changes because the whole radial gradient size is getting changed. So let's stop that. Let's make the line height absolute again. And now it should be more as expected. So this is 10 pixel white color stop. 10 pixel font size, 9.5 EX corresponds to 10 pixel right now, which is like a smaller white. 20 makes it a bigger white, right? And 15, it's like somewhat midway white. So this is as expected. And if we go towards the line height and if we try to change that, it should change this thing. At the default, with the default font size or the default line height, it seems like these are not exactly same, right? One LH would be 16 pixel and 6% would be, it would be 6% of the whole viewport, right? So let's say we have 400 and this would be 0.0624. Is that correct? 6% would be percent of the viewport width, right? We got too much orange color. Essentially the white color stop just changes to the equal of the orange color stop because the white color stop is first in the gradient. It appears over the orange color, right? It's viewport height, which is 300 pixels. Oh, right. So this is X, this is Y. So the Y corresponds to the height. So this is gonna be 300, which is 18. Okay. That's how this turns out to be 18. But with this line height, with the 16 pixel line height in our case right now, this would be 16. So the X radius of our gradient is 16. The Y is 18, which means we'll have a radial gradient with more height and lesser width, right? And I think that's what we have here. Did I say it right? More height and less width for the radial gradient, right? Let's make it even smaller. Yeah, more height, less width, right? So 10 pixel line height means this is gonna be 10 and this is always like 18 pixels because of the viewport height. So more Y radius, taller radial gradient, right? Cool. Getting back to 16, and if I make the font size 16 as well, oh sorry, it doesn't matter here, but if I make this 18, why did this not create a perfect circle? So line height of 18 pixel means this should be 18 pixel and then 6% is already 18 pixel. So this should have created a perfect circle, but it doesn't. shouldn't depend on this. 16, 17, 18, doesn't matter, that's fine. But why is our circle not a circle? Okay, this is weird. Oh, it's because of the scale. The body has been scaled. So had this been same scale on both the directions, you would have got a perfect circle, but the scale is not same in both directions. It's bigger in the x direction, and so we get a ellipse which is bigger in the x axis, right? Cool. Okay, a lot of moving parts and connected parts, interconnected parts. Cool. I think we should yeah, let's keep the scale. So what exact values do we have? We have 7 mm and 1 q. So 1 q for the line height. Okay. So what we're trying to do here is, I guess, this is a very small number. 1q is a very small number, and this is kept very small because this would make the 1 LH computed value very small. And if the x radius becomes very small relative to the y radius, we would essentially get a radial gradient which is very tall, right? And if you have a circle and you keep elongating it in the y direction, you can see what happens, right? At one point, this would essentially give us sort of a rectangle. If we take a small part, if we cut a small part from that very elongated radial gradient, we would essentially get these straight lines out of it, right? Sort of a rectangle. This is what we would get. So that's what's happening here. If we have both the radial sizes same, we would get a perfect circle. In our case, like the white part would be perfectly circular, but we are elongating this radial size and hence the shape. We are elongating it in the y direction, making it taller and taller. So the white part gets like taller and taller and taller. And at this particular value, it becomes so tall that if you cut a small part out of it, you essentially get these vertical lines, and you essentially get a rectangular white area, right? So with this value, this white has like it's the whole radial gradient has elongated so much that we are just getting this white, or rather we are getting almost vertical lines here, which is essentially part of a radial gradient, like so, right? This is the white, and on top of that there will be some orange here, right? And then some blue. So the whole gradient has like become so tall that we have got almost perfectly vertical lines in the center, in that clipped area of the small body, right? So that's what's happening, and we can actually see this happening in a more step-by-step way. So this is at 16 pixel. The x radius almost as same as the y radius. If we keep shrinking it, we're making it taller and taller, taller and sharper. So this is at 10. You can see the radial gradient is elongating in the y-axis. It's becoming taller. Yeah, so if you keep reducing it, it will become much taller. Sorry, 7 and 6 and 5. You can see it's becoming taller and taller. The curves are becoming straighter, and you're essentially getting two somewhat vertical lines in the center. So at 1 pixel line height, the y radius of the gradient is so big in relation to the x radius that you have a very elongated, tall gradient, essentially giving us vertical lines in that central center part, right? So that's the role of a very small line height here. Q is a very small unit. It's quarter of a millimeter, I suppose. So it's a very short unit, the smallest you can get to get this vertical illusion, forcing the curves of the ellipse to be an asymptote, sort of, right? 18:1. That's the ratio that we have got. Cool. So that's line height, and then we also have font size here, and that's just to fix the size of the white, like where do we want the white to be, right? And this was again, what was it? This is supposed to be 7 mm. So if we keep shrinking this down, 19, 20, sorry, yeah, 16, 15, you can see what's happening here. 1 pixel would give us this. So the white has reduced to a very small number, right? You see a very minute line for the white part, but this is even smaller. It's 7 mm. Let's make it what would 1 pixel mean? Should be around 10 mm. Huh? 20, 30, 40, 50. So this is at 16 pixel. The white is 9.5 EX. Hundred mm. This is 1 centimeter. So at 1 centimeter font size, 9.5 EX, which is 9.5 times the height of the X character, would be what you're seeing here for the white color stop. If we increase it, the white would just like fill everything. You won't see the oranges and the blue. But if we go down, you'll see the orange and the blue. What we essentially want is the orange should go away, right? That's what we want. So if we keep going down, the orange would keep showing. But if we keep increasing white, yeah. So at one point, the orange just goes away. And I guess that would happen because at this particular, whatever like number we decide here, which is eventually 7 mm, but whatever number you decide here, that affects the height of the X character, dependent on which we have this white color stop, which is 9.5 times the height of the X character. And with a particular font size, this 9.5 EX eventually becomes same as 25 VW. And that's where the white and the orange color stop just become same. And that means the orange would disappear, right? Because it's behind white. I think that's what is happening. So 0.6 cm, which is 0.6 centimeter, also like gives us the same effect essentially, but 0.6 cm is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 characters, and you can get the same number with 7 mm, which is just 3 characters, right? Half of what we had with centimeters. And this is exactly the same behavior. 9.5 times the height of the X character with this font size essentially gives us a color stop which overlaps with the orange color stop, and so the orange disappears, right? White being on the top just overshadows the orange part, and we don't want orange for the body, right? If you see the central thing here, we just want some white in the center and then that blue all throughout. So the orange is made to disappear by making the two color stops same using the font size, right? This is what's happening. So this makes the two color stops same. This is a crazy solution. I hereby declare this is a crazy, like I have reverse engineered similar solutions in the past where the font size is being used, the line height is being used to affect other values in other rule, in other declarations. That's something I've seen. but the amount of interconnection here, it's so damn crazy. The font size is affecting the white color stop, which is supposed to get equal to the orange color stop, and then the line height making the whole radial size the way we want it to. This is crazy stuff. This is crazy. Yeah, super clever. I'm not sure how you folks even like figure things like this out. There are so many moving parts, so many wires connected to each other. I mean, like if you were to draw a sort of like machine diagram for this solution, it would be a complex machine where you just like turn the knobs and see what's happening. But I'm not sure like if it is even sort of like a trial and hit and trial method for you, Kiran. Um, I guess you already had this in mind. You already figured out. You already imagined it in your head. I don't know, but this is crazy. I'm wondering the same thing. Yeah. Hey, Gypsy child, welcome to this Gypsy girl. Welcome to the stream. Yes, for the first time. The whole thought process starts as how can we reuse the background for the body? I don't know. I don't know. I just can't imagining this approach. This is so crazy. I'm really glad I took this daily target. Thanks for suggesting, Kiran. I mean, I know you were biased, but yeah, I was gonna drop this and do some other one. But yeah, this is crazy. This actually gives you a little bit idea into what all is possible in code golfing. So next time, like when you're trying to code golf, and even though like this exact solution or approach or even the techniques won't be used or not usable, you still know like you can. There's no limit as to how complex you can wire things up, or how I wouldn't say like complex, but there's no limit to the imagination that can go into code golfing and creating these even simple targets. Like this is very simple, right? If you do it the straightforward way. But these three declarations, I don't have words for it. It's just crazy. The reason we use scale for this as well is because it does the same thing as margin does in shorter characters. Yep. Okay. Interesting. So Kiran says the third solution here, which is Gabriel's solution, that is exactly the same thing, but to shrink the body, Gabriel used margin, right, which is a mechanism for shrinking and elongating elements. So margin is used there, but Kiran somehow figure out like the scale is 2 characters shorter, and that's how he got to 108 characters. And also Muhammad Ali did the same thing. Yeah, exactly the same solution. This is crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm so glad I do these live stream when I reverse engineer such solutions. That's what I'm here for. That's what this live stream is for. Cool. It's already 11:13. We're already past 1 hour. Okay. If anyone is interested, we can do a quick versus battle. I'm gonna create a public room real soon. You can see it on the homepage of CSSBattle. If anyone's interested, just join in and we'll do a few battles if anyone joins. Joe says, I think of margin as pushing the body inwards from the HTML element, further contained by. Yep. CSSBattle dailies have really evolved in the past few months as techniques get discovered. Yeah, that's the whole point, learning together from the techniques. I mean, as a community, as a code golfing community, dailies and solution like yours do help everyone become a better golfer, at least digitally, if not a real golfer. Cool. Waiting for a few more minutes if anyone is interested. Hamitao Yahya. Okay, welcome to the versus battle. Let's do a medium one. I'm gonna keep it at 6. 6 is good. Cool. Time attack, and I'm ready. Worked on the solution alongside myself. So were you folks like working together on the solution?
2,
That's
1. Play.
okay. What do we have? Interesting. Not a very medium difficulty target, but good one. Okay, I'll put in 4 divs and let's start coloring them. I'm gonna put this as I, second one is J, and then one more as K. The I is gonna be, doing a quick submission just to have a score and scare away my opponent. Cool. The width is, I think, around 250. Why is this so big? Okay, I have a lot of divs. Border radius of 50%. No, it's a big number. Cool. A little more radius, 70, 80, 90. It's 100, I think. 150 should be okay. Oh. Yeah, I think that's about right. Should I go with absolute positioning? Let's put in some colors meanwhile I'll think about how to position them. The I and K, I guess. Let's use flex. Let's do it with flex. So I'm gonna make it flex and then switch on flex wrapping. To make them overlap, I'm gonna use some margin on the I guess few elements just on the div. I need identifier for the first div as well. So for the X, IJ, and the J, I need a margin right of -4, no, -10. That looks good. And we wanna center them like so, and also looks good. So we want some margin on the body. 1 rem 0. Let's make it 2 rem. Yeah. Let's do a submission here. I have the colors wrong for one of my element, which is XIJ. So for J, we want. Okay, this is getting close. This is the close battle. Oh, my opponent is at 88. What just happened? I think it's just okay. That's about. I'll fix it. Okay, I'm at 96. Where am I wrong? I think the alignments are right. The height is wrong. 95 is at 100. Yep, looks good. Not exactly perfect. Let's try at 100. The margin is not right. So 30 pixels, I think, should do the trick. Yep, that's it. Rem was giving us 32 pixels, and that's not what we usually have in the targets. I won the battle! Yay! Also, that means the targets are solvable now. You don't get 99.9% for no reasons. Fun match. Thanks for joining in, Hamito. It was a good fight. Very close. In fact, like I won by 0.4% the last moment. Cool. One last battle, and then we'll take a break for the year and meet in the next year, 2026. Cool. Again, let's do a medium and 6 minutes. We can even keep it 5 to make it more nail biting. Okay. Hamito, again. Okay. I think you want to take revenge. Okay, I'm ready. Cool, looks good. Okay, let's see. If anyone else wants to do a versus battle, just put in the comments so that I know if anyone is interested. I can do
3,
another one after
2,
this
1.
if I see a
Play.
comment in the chat box. Okay. Cool. How do we do this? I'll put in p tags. One more p tag, and I'm gonna use div for the central part. Now let's put in a background. The background is gonna be sorry. A little more. And this is also a lot less. I think this is good. And then we have these, which are circles. Are they circles or are they capsules? Not sure. We'll see. Width, I guess 100. Height, a little bit lesser. And let's put in some alignments. I'm gonna use display again. I'll go with, oh sorry, I'm gonna use flex again. Going with display flex, and this time I need a column alignment. Oopsie. Paragraph, right? We don't have a background for the paragraph, right? 2.5 minutes to go. Looks good. We need some alignments again. Center and align. Center again. Looks good. The body needs some positioning. I think with just the top, -10. Let's take it more up. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Looks good. Let's do a submission.
Player, hit the ready button.
That's the wrong.
Submit now, please.
Yeah, that's the right one. Okay. 96. Okay. I need to set the dimensions right. I think this is 200. Yeah, no, maybe 190, but this is wrong. 90 looks good. Yeah, I think this is good. The gap is probably wrong. I have it 10 pixels. Well, 13. Won't be 13 pixels for sure. So what do we have wrong here? I think even my width is wrong. Okay, let's do it this way. 330, 340, that's right. Okay, I think this should be 100%. 50 seconds to go, and did I win? No, it's 99.9 match. Definitely my ellipses are wrong. What's the height right now? It's 81, and yeah, this can't be 14, 13 for sure. If it's not 14, then 12, 14, which one is better? Then let's try 12. What is my margin wrong? Okay, that's 99.5, much worse. I think the gap is 14, but or maybe 16. Oops, I actually lost by 0.2%. I did get 99.9% once, and it should have shown me 99.9%. But yeah, again, bug. I'll have to fix that. Again, but good match. A very close one. Cool. Okay. I don't see any more comments for the versus battle, so that means this is gonna be it. Thanks everyone for joining. This was a really fun live stream, a fun Saturday Night Live to end the year with. The Daily Target and Cadence Solution was such a fun, fun reverse engineering exercise. I hope you all learned a thing or two there as well. And thanks, Amito, for the versus battles. Thanks for doing the duels. That was fun too. All right, folks. This would be it then. I'll see you same time, same channel in 2026. I hope you have a fun year end and fun holidays. And I'll see you next year. Till then, keep playing, and I'll see you in the game. Bye bye.